Hi everyone, and welcome to the SwiftCase Productivity Podcast. My name's Adam Sykes, founder of SwiftCase, the professional productivity platform, and today I've got with me
Phil Whitby, developer at SwiftCase.
And Craig McCarthy, development manager at SwiftCase.
Okay, great. So today we were going to follow on from a comment that Craig made in one of our other podcasts about how doing this podcast isn't work, and we had a little disagreement amongst ourselves. We managed to avoid coming to blows, but effectively, both myself and Phil see this as work because it's part of our job.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the actually working in the business. So it's work. And we got talking about whether the idea of what is work, and some people say only if it's hard work, it's you laborious type process that you've got to go through, that's work. And a lot of people in these cushy office jobs or whatever else, it isn't really work. So we thought we'd discuss that today.
Anyway. I think it's a fantastic story, because years ago I remember thinking it always got my back up when I saw actors in interviews talking about working with people. And they go, it's great, and they always emphasise, they go, I'm working, I'm always working. I remember thinking, but it's literally playing. Isn't you putting on a play? Why is it called a play? Right? So I was thinking, but then you see, when you see behind the scenes, you can see it has a huge emotional toll on those actors. They've got it, they can be working really bad conditions, they can be in water for hours, they can do all kinds of things. So it is actually laborious. There's a lot of labour in there, but you know that they love it. And they're doing exactly what they want to do, and this is a dream for them. They're sort of harping on about work, and I remember thinking, well, you obviously want to transmit the seriousness of what you're doing by saying it's work. But how much of it is play and how much of it is work? And if you enjoy your job, is it work?
Exactly.
So, but then it's if you go to your boss and say, I really enjoy my job, you go, oh, I'm going to earn half your wages then. How dare you enjoy your job? What am I paying you for? I thought money was the only incentive. So there's this part of people seeing their own personal value as related to how much suffering they do in their job. It's like, I'm very good and I'm very important because I suffer a great deal in my job for the benefit of my boss, or for the benefit of, if you were, say, working in A&E or something like that, or on the front line in a war, you suffer a great deal, so the value is heightened.
And some people necessarily how tired you feel.
Exactly. If you're not exhausted by the end of it, you haven't worked hard, and you don't have value as a member of the community. There's that is intertwined in our brains, and we can't really get rid of it.
That was always a long running joke. I don't think my wife found it very funny. My wife always used to work in the catering industry, and she used to come home and, especially in the summer, she used to go, I don't half get hot in work, I've been running around, I've been rushed off my feet, and I always used to laugh and go, my brain gets hot because I've got think all day. So although she was physically tired, I would be mentally exhausted, and the idea that one is better than the other. We do have this perception, don't we? People have this perception that the physical work is much more tiring, and that's the true worker. You see anything going back to communist era, or anything to do with unions and artwork of the left, it's always the worker with the hammer or whatever, because that's the worker. When actually, it can be very hard to be doing a mental job. An office job where you've got to, you've got lots of things to do, and actually, in some ways, the sort of the job where you just go over the same process day after day, and it might be seen as monotonous and tiring. Actually, when you clock out at the end of the day, your job's finished. Whereas for many jobs where if you're in management or there's some kind of long-term project, you can never really switch off.
That's why CEOs say, I do 80-hour weeks. I do 120-hour weeks.
They're not physically at their desk.
Because even though they're counting their lunches and things like that.
This is it, but they see it as it's a work and lunch, because I'm talking to people. So if I'm talking to people about something related to my company, I'm working. So people
you can never switch off.
But then this is it.
Was at the pub for 4 hours networking.
We were talking. I think we've discussed that guy at work is really annoying. That's it. That's work. Put that down. But in reality, though, the book, as the manager, the book stops with the manager, doesn't it? So if something happens and something goes off at a week out of hours, ultimately, yes, you can have cover. But if that person decides they're not going to cover it, they can walk out. Of course,
you are ultimately responsible for everything all the time. If your business is something that runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year,
then
you are always on call.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and there are other industries where people are on call as well,
Yeah,
but like there is that from a management point of view, which
Absolutely.
you know is difficult. And if you haven't got like things in place that can support you and systems where people can, you know, take on the responsibility, you know, ultimately you are.
You get overloaded. Yeah, and it's hard to say, and people can't see it. They don't understand that you can be overworked because they don't see the physical exertion at caring.
Yeah,
you don't see straining. You have to report it and say, "Oh, I'm really struggling," and you would superficially look no different.
It used to frustrate me quite a lot actually early on, because like there were times where I was just knackered because you know there was so much going on and everything, but like some of my friends, they work in like bars, or they work or like family as well, like they do physical jobs where they require a lot of social interaction, or they're on their feet all day, that sort of stuff. And it was the dismissal of, well, you just sit at a desk for 8 hours. Like, you know, why are you tired?
Like you're just watching TV, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so much more.
Yeah, I haven't said that. I mean, when I was a teacher, that was exhausting on both levels. Because physically you're standing and running around all day, and then every 30 seconds there was a decision or a conflict to be resolved. And I think that has everything. That really had all aspects of the job. Like, there's no way, even on the worst days, this job, even when things go, are even as bad as like a mediocre day in teaching. Like in teaching,
I feel like throughout the series you've really put people off teaching.
But yeah, actually, that's my one gift to the world. To do it. No, it's
I completely see where you're coming from there, because not only you've got the physical exhaustion, when you go home, you still have to think.
Yeah, and also there was never, you know, you would do it from 7 till 6 every day, and it was like, and that was when you left school. So you leave school at 6 sometimes, and then you'd be like, oh, I've got lessons for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you either did them at night, or you got up even early the next day.
Yeah.
Or you just hoped you could wing it.
I think it's badly managed, though, isn't it?
Praying for the summer holidays.
Yeah.
Teaching falls down because they try and fit this 9 to 5 model to something that probably you wouldn't do in the private sector. So you would. I don't think you'd get training sessions of someone who's a trainer who did 9 to 5 every day of the week training people. They probably do a training session
in the morning for
2 hours, and then a couple of hours after, and we have a chat or whatever. It's probably a 4-hour day of training with some lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
But yet teachers are expected to teach like from like 9 in the morning till half 3 or 4.
But like you'd manage a form class, and then you'd have training about teaching after that. So like 5 to 6, they'd be like, oh right, you can't be planning for that. We've got to have a meeting where we'll tell you how to move forward, and we'll tell you about all the changes. It was an absolute
so it just seems like actually teaching would be almost better if you kind of, I suppose they do this a bit more in secondary school if you're only teaching classes rather than a primary school where you are teaching the same class all day, where you don't necessarily have to do every hour of the day physical classes. They just need more teachers, don't they? So you're only actually teaching for a few hours a day.
It's like the 4-day work week thing.
Yeah,
it's the same. Like, so the way it worked was like you got a certain number of contact hours a week.
Yeah,
and then you'd have planning time. Yeah. In the end, that ended up being like 3 hours planning time. Yeah. So you'd have 27 hours of contact time with the kids, and that could be 4 hours of one class, 4 hours. So you'd end up, and then all of those then came with a number of exercise books, assessments that all had to be done. So in the end, it was like an unbelievable mountain of rubbish.
Yeah, I just don't understand how teachers could mark the work that
well, they have to do it in class,
No, but I mean, like, just the volume of, like, by the time you get to, like, I don't know, 15, 16-year-olds, they're probably writing 1 or 2, possibly even more, sides of A4.
Oh, yeah. And then moved away from that, and like, you would assess in class, pointed questions, and then it would...
It'd be like homework. At home, you would be getting, like, 3 sides of A4. Times 30, and that's one class.
I know, and that's what I'm saying.
What if you were teaching like 6 classes a day?
You weren't always in control of what you gave out either. It was mandated by so it'd be like, you have to do this homework, so you couldn't even manage that. So anyway, we're getting sidetracked. That was a very laborious that was a very laborious job, but it doesn't mean to say that it has less or more value than a job which isn't just as laborious. That's the thing. Even though they both still work, even a painter or an artist, whatever, they're still working when they're doing the thing they enjoy the most. I enjoy teaching immensely, but there was no way, it wasn't incredibly laborious.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I suppose it's the trade-off between the fact that you might enjoy doing something that you're getting paid for, which is great.
Yeah.
And that's like,
but it also leads to imposter syndrome in a way.
But also it can sometimes ruin your enjoyment.
Yeah.
Because if you've got to do, the class thing would be a deadline. Say you're an artist and you've been commissioned to do something and you've got to do it by a certain date. That's not the same as having a leisurely paint, is it?
No, that's true.
And then,
and then it's being judged. It's stressful.
And also you've got to do accounts. You've got to comply with law, regulations, insurance.
If anything,
all the
strip
stuff
away.
That, it kind of starts eating into your enjoyment of the
thing that was ostensibly a hobby.
Yeah, exactly. So, sometimes it's not as straightforward, I suppose, like the acting point of view, where it can be hard, even though if you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But what does it mean about people's mentality? Well, we've talked about like other countries in another podcast where they have much better worker-employer communication, and better standards of and laws and culture in general. I just think we have a skewed perception of what work and labour is, and that informs what our self and our value. And when people talk about their job, they can talk about almost embarrassed not to be doing like a really valuable job, which is really hard. And I wonder whether that's sort of what feeds into people's idea that they should then also like join the army and go to war if they don't have value, if they don't have the skill or a job or a career set up that has hard work and good value based on your suffering, that they then go, actually, I should go and fight for my country or do something honourable. It's really interesting, I think.
But I suppose as well there's also the aspect of career, isn't there?
Yeah.
And some jobs don't have a career path, if you like. They might be hard, but you stay doing them for life. Effectively. If you work in a factory, unless you become the manager of the factory,
that's it, isn't it?
or the foreperson.
There's only like 3 layers, isn't
There's probably only 3 layers.
Yeah.
And probably if you started in the factory at the beginning, it's not many go to the management. The management normally just come in straight from from head office or whatever. The fact that, are you working to provide a life for outside of work? Does it really matter what you do as long as you can, have the life that you want outside of your career as well?
Go on, Craig. Does it?
I don't know. Personally, I could never do anything that I didn't enjoy, because I think if you're spending, but it's different, isn't it? It's so difficult.
Yeah. But is that because you have done that and you see that it's there for you?
Yeah,
and some
exactly.
people
Whereas
never do that. Yeah.
Never, if there was a kind of skill level that I simply couldn't reach, but I really wanted to do that,
like astronaut.
No, I could. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then you've got to be realistic.
I think I could be an astronaut
as well. But at the same time, people find...
I don't like being realistic. I like just pushing boundaries.
People find enjoyment, don't they, in weird things sometimes.
Yeah, some people... Well, we've seen a really good example is, thanks to the internet, and you can see people doing extremely mundane jobs to an extraordinary high level of ability in ways that you never imagined.
Yeah.
So we've seen like
the traffic wardens
as well,
doing the dancing.
Yeah. So like the one that really sticks in my mind is the guy who makes like chapatis in India, and he puts them on the stove. It immediately hardens or becomes a pancake, and then he just flicks it over shoulder into a pile behind.
Yeah.
Or like people that wrap boxes, even like Amazon boxes at incredible
impressive.
speed, and you're like, there is always a way to kind of
master
or to enjoy, and obviously mastery is an important part of enjoyment.
It's like people make cocktails.
Yeah.
There's the Tom Cruise cocktail makers. And there's the guy who makes the jug of whatever in Weatherspoons, isn't there?
He presses the button on the machine. So
booze.
So at work, for those people, that mixologist isn't working in his mind, is he? And the guy who's pressing the button is working. So like labour and stuff is related to, it's really hard to disentangle it. And people who are good at it and get paid more are the ones that can somehow see through the mundanity of whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah. I think as long as you've got pride in what you do, and that shows that you've got pride in what you do. Because if you become a master at like packing boxes or something, then obviously you've been working hard to just become the master of that.
So
And the fact that it's gone viral as well shows that someone's obviously...
But the mastery as itself is the reward.
Exactly.
And it's like a sneaky reward for such a laborious job. It's like, oh wow, he's done it. He's like undermined that whole process by enjoying it somehow.
Yeah.
But that's a lesson to people who are in it and not enjoying it and pretending the world's awful. This is the thing, isn't it? It's like, there's always a way to enjoy even the most mundane thing.
And sometimes it's enjoyable too. And I know this is hard when it's almost like having a not a busman's holiday, the opposite of a busman's holiday, a holiday doing another career.
Yeah.
Where actually something that's, taking the opposite. So if you normally do a mentally taxing job and you're going to do a physically taxing job, it's almost like I quite like doing DIY.
Yeah. People pay to do DIY therapy, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they?
DIY therapy, obviously, of course it is. There's always a way to kind of monetize and exploit something.
Yeah.
Yeah, DIY therapy.
They're all working in IKEA.
Yeah, you just go in and be like a section where you can just break anything you want.
Yeah.
Which is basically IKEA anyway.
So you've got to be builders making apps at home.
Just for leisure. They can do Facebook. Just
I love that. Okay, well, if you want to let us know about your work and what you think about the nature of work, then please drop a comment in the comments down below.
And one, occasionally it's a bit laborious, isn't it? Life. You wake up in the morning, you open your laptop and wherever. What I tend to look at outside of work,
it's hard work.
Is something. This has become a very hard work. It's something that we worked incredibly hard on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the SwiftCase website.
Love,
And you can find that at swiftcase.co.uk, and you can also follow our social media channels at SwiftCase UK.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to endure more of our labours.
Thank you everyone for listening to our hard work, and we'll see you again next time on the SwiftCase Productivity Podcast.